When a soccer stadium falls silent, when the lights go out and the crowd goes home, a dangerous void remains for many stars. Right there, some lose their direction. Others slowly fade from the world's view. But few understand that the real test doesn't begin on the field, but after. Nwankwo Kanu was one of those few. For him, soccer was never the final goal, but only the beginning of a journey marked by discipline, survival, and a clear sense of purpose.
Nwankwo Kanu was born on August 1, 1976, in Imo State, Nigeria. He grew up in a simple Igbo household where values like humility, faith, and hard work were firmly anchored. His daily life was characterized by discipline and clear rules. In this environment, soccer was not a status symbol or an escape from reality, but a true passion, born on dusty pitches and uneven streets, where creativity was more important than perfect conditions. It became clear early on that Kanu was different, not louder than others, not more aggressive, but quieter. His height, his composure on the ball, and above all, his extraordinary game intelligence set him apart from his peers. While many players relied on speed or strength, Kanu trusted in vision, anticipation, and precise timing. He saw situations before they developed and made decisions without haste. These skills were no coincidence. They grew out of an environment that demanded patience and promoted self-control. Kanu learned early on to adapt, to observe closely, and to get by with little, qualities that shaped him not only as a soccer player, but also as a human being. He did not yet know that this exact mixture of calmness and discipline would soon lead him to an international stage. But what moment would irrevocably change his life?
The turning point in Nwankwo Kanu's life came in 1993. At the FIFA U17 World Championship in Japan, he led the Nigerian Golden Eaglets as captain. Even in this tournament, it was evident that Kanu possessed not only talent, but also extraordinary maturity. While many players were overwhelmed by the pressure, he remained calm, controlled, and took responsibility. Nigeria won the tournament, and Kanu finished the World Cup as joint top scorer. But it wasn't just his goals that caught international attention. It was his vision, his control of the game, and his ability to make clear decisions in decisive moments. European scouts watched closely as this young player directed the game instead of chasing after it. Only a few months later, Ajax Amsterdam came calling. For Kanu, this meant a radical step. At just 17 years old, he left Nigeria and moved to Europe. Without great security, but with discipline, self-confidence, and the willingness to adapt to a completely new system. At Ajax, he found himself in one of the most structured soccer environments in Europe. Instead of failing, he developed rapidly. Between 1993 and 1996, he won 3 Dutch championships, lifted the Champions League in 1995, as well as the Intercontinental Cup and the UEFA Super Cup. At just 20 years old, Kanu was already a European champion. Everything indicated that his journey to the top had only just begun. In 1996, the next big step followed. Nwankwo Kanu moved to Inter Milan in a highly publicized transfer. In the same year, he reached a historic peak with the Nigerian national team. At the Atlanta Olympic Games, he led his team to the gold medal as captain and finally became a national hero. On the pitch, everything seemed possible, but off the field, a reality awaited that brought his career and his life to an abrupt halt. During routine medical examinations, doctors discovered a serious congenital heart defect. The diagnosis came without warning. Kanu's career was immediately put on hold. His life was on the line. What had looked like the start of a new phase of success just a few weeks earlier turned into a struggle for survival. Kanu had to undergo open heart surgery in the United States and was out of professional soccer for almost a year. Many believed he would never return, but for Kanu, it was no longer about titles or contracts, it was about existence. This experience changed everything. His perspective on success, money, and significance shifted fundamentally. When he finally returned, he was no longer the same player. He was calmer, more conscious, and internally fortified. Death had come close to him, and from then on, that exact realization would shape every decision in his life. In 1999, when many still doubted whether Nwankwo Kanu could play at the highest level at all, Arsene Wenger made a decision that few would have dared. He brought Kanu to Arsenal. Not loudly, not spectacularly, but with clear intent. It wasn't a transfer based on hype, but on the conviction that Kanu's soccer intelligence and his calmness under pressure remained extraordinary. At Arsenal, Kanu didn't need to stand out with pace or toughness. He played with composure. He was never loud, never flashy, but astonishingly effective. That was exactly what made him a tactical weapon, creative, determined, and ice-cold in decisive moments. Under the highest pressure, he remained calm, as if he were seeing the game in slow motion. With Arsenal, Kanu won 2 Premier League titles and 2 FA Cups. The highlight was the 2003-2004 season, in which he became part of the legendary Invincibles, who went an entire league season undefeated. By the time he left England, he had long been more than just a player. He was a legend who, after everything that had happened, had not only come back, but had reinvented himself. But as the years at the highest level slowly drew to a close, another question grew louder. How does a man like Kanu live on when soccer is no longer the center of his life? After nearly 2 decades in top-flight European soccer, Nwankwo Kanu had built a considerable fortune. But unlike many former stars, he never made a spectacle of it. His relationship with money was calm, controlled, and deliberate. For him, it wasn't about showing off wealth, but about securing it. His financial foundation was built on the pitch, with stints at Ajax, Inter Milan, Arsenal, and later Portsmouth, where his salaries were among the best of his generation. In total, it is estimated that Kanu earned around £15 to £20 million before taxes from player salaries alone. After his career ended, this flow did not stop. Thanks to his clean image, his calm aura, and his status as an African soccer legend, he remained attractive to brands. In 2016, he signed a long-term ambassadorial contract with Sportybet and worked with other companies in the sports and business sectors over the years. Kanu didn't earn through constant visibility, but through trust. His income remained stable, structured, and reputation-based. For him, money was not a means of self-promotion, but a tool for independence and control. A crucial factor in Nwankwo Kanu's long-term financial peace was real estate. Even during his active time in Europe, he began investing specifically in properties. In Nigeria, he acquired properties in Lagos, including sought-after areas like Ikoyi and Opebi, as well as other possessions in Abuja and in his home state of Abia. These investments were not for prestige, but for security. During his years at Arsenal, Kanu also bought a property in London, which he held as a long-term investment. These properties generated regular rental income and increased in value over time. As a result, Kanu remained financially independent of short-term income. The Hardley Apartments on Victoria Island in Lagos are particularly important. The hotel and serviced apartment complex developed into a stable source of income. Kanu openly stated that earnings from this business were also used to fund life-saving heart surgeries through his foundation. His real estate worked quietly, reliably, and with a clear purpose. Kanu's handling of cars reflects his personality. Quiet, functional, and without the urge for self-promotion. He owns a Mercedes-Benz ML Class, a vehicle that stands for comfort, safety, and restraint. His garage is complemented by a BMW sedan, known for precision and controlled strength. These are vehicles that offer reliability rather than demanding attention. One car stands out nonetheless, the Ferrari F360. For Kanu, it is not an everyday car, but a symbol of a reached life stage, a sign of success after years of discipline and self-control. Cars do not define status for him. They serve a purpose. Just like his entire lifestyle, his mobility is consciously chosen. In a world that shows off wealth loudly, Kanu moves quietly and in a controlled manner. And that is exactly where his attitude toward life after soccer lies. Despite international fame, Nwankwo Kanu remained true to his roots. His childhood instilled in him a strong sense of identity and responsibility. Especially after his heart surgery, faith gained central importance for him. He spoke openly about attributing his survival to his religious convictions. Kanu is married to Amarachi Kanu and is a father of 3 children. He deliberately keeps his family life out of the public eye. No staging, no permanent presence on social media. For him, fame ends at the front door.
This attitude shapes his daily life. Order, discipline, and values stand above attention for him. While other former stars sought visibility, Kanu opted for restraint. Not out of fear, but out of conviction. Because for him, character is more important than public applause.
The most defining chapter in Kanu's life after soccer began not with a title, but with a decision. In 2000, he founded the Kanu Heart Foundation, inspired by the surgery that had saved his life. What would have remained a traumatic chapter for many, Kanu turned into a clear mission. The foundation has made it its mission to provide life-saving heart surgeries to children from low-income families in Africa. Over the years, hundreds of procedures have been funded, millions invested in medical treatments, and partnerships established with hospitals worldwide. For Kanu, this was not charity from a distance, but personal commitment. He knew what it meant to have no chance without help. He later stated openly that it was not enough for him to have survived himself. Others had to be given that chance as well. Earnings from his businesses, especially from the Hardley apartments, flowed directly into this work. Thus, wealth became a tool, and success became responsibility. This is where Kanu's true balance sheet shows, not in numbers, but in lives, not in applause, but in impact. Today, Nwankwo Kanu lives far from the spotlight, without scandal, without noise, without excess. His greatest wealth lies not in money or possessions, but in the lives he has saved and in the quiet impact of his path. He won games, survived death, and turned success into meaning. If this story has given you a new perspective, then support the video with a like and subscribe to the channel for more real stories of legendary personalities.